Hey, welcome back everybody. Happy Friday. Hope we all have had a wonderful kind of work week, and hopefully we all stayed safe out there. As again, we had some pretty rough storms work on through the Carolinas, and I talked about that very heavily in yesterday morning's video. So hopefully you caught that. Hopefully you were weather aware. And in fact, we have some storm crews out there surveying some damage that could likely lead to the conclusion that we had a couple tornadoes in North Carolina, maybe even Virginia as well. So again, a very active day we had yesterday, and unfortunately that's not the end of it. We're going to do it all again starting next Monday, or really I guess this Sunday as well, with some severe weather that is likely going to work on through some big sections of the country. And this could be the first real kind of classic severe weather outbreak in the plains of the year. We've had a couple outbreaks maybe down closer to the Gulf, but this could be again that good old-fashioned big time tornado threat out into some of those more rural communities in the central part of the country. And we'll break that down for you in today's video, as well as kind of what's left of this storm system that moved through yesterday. Again, it is still impacting the Northeast, and on the backside, very windy conditions are also likely to kind of work on through. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started here. Now, I wanted to start with some pictures I took yesterday. I actually did a little bit of a local storm chase here in the Carolinas. I didn't have to leave too far from Charlotte, and this is one of the pictures I got yesterday. Again, excuse me, this was all due to that line of convection that kind of worked on through starting in upstate South Carolina, and then again really strengthened as it hit the foothills in the Piedmont of North Carolina. But what I want you to notice here is this kind of section right here, this middle part of the picture. This is a bit of a mesocyclone, or a bit of a rotating updraft we had kind of hidden in this bigger line of storms. You'll even notice kind of down here a little bit of a lowering. Again, this storm had tornadic potential, and it even had some rotation, especially a little bit after I took this picture. This same segment had some pretty strong rotation, really right over uptown Charlotte, and then kind of into the northern suburbs along the I-77 corridor. But again, nonetheless, also just a kind of very pretty storm, very nice structure that we were able to see yesterday, and even a rainbow kind of hidden in here that you'll see here in a picture in just a second. But again, that is one of the storms yesterday. This one is actually the same storm, or at least the same segment of storms, just as the sun was going down. So you'll notice again also that same kind of rainbow hidden in here, and also we have some modest clouds kind of hidden up on the top bit of this anvil here on the backside. So again, oftentimes what happens, we get all this air rushing up into this storm, and we get that convergence, and then on the backside we get that sinking motion, and that oftentimes can lead to these kind of bubbly clouds that look like they almost want to fall out of the sky. So again, very pretty storm structure, especially for Carolina standards yesterday, and again, lucky to catch that. And one final picture I'll show you here. Again, this is like the first picture, just from the ground level. And I should mention this was in Rock Hill, South Carolina, but by the time I took the picture of these storms, they were kind of, again, crossing into the Charlotte Metro up the I-77 corridor. But again, pretty rainbow in there, and again, a lot of convection, just a lot of rising motion in here. It would help if I could draw an arrow at all. But you get the point here. And then also, again, kind of hidden down here in the bottom of your screen, here's that lowering, or that LCL, kind of almost wall cloud-esque in a way, just not too much rotation with it at the time I took this picture. If you are interested in these pictures, though, you can find them on Facebook. I posted them there, which is linked in the description. They're also on Twitter, I think, and probably plenty of other places I've forgotten that I've posted them. But nonetheless, just very quickly wanted to show you some of my pictures from yesterday's storm chase. Alright, so today, what is going on? Well, again, just taking a look at our watches, warnings, and advisories. A lot of wind is going to be the big story for a lot of folks today. Wind advisories from the UP of Michigan all the way down to the Midlands of South Carolina, and also up into portions of the Northeast, where we also have some flooding concerns here into Maine, portions of New Hampshire as well. Sorry, I'm kind of blanking on states there for a second. But again, that's really the big story today, is all of that wind that we're going to see on the backside of the storm system. And if we take a look at radar imagery right now, you'll notice again here is all of that rain slowly kind of working up northward. Again, low pressure right now kind of centered over the Ohio, Pennsylvania area, just kind of pulling up these slugs of moisture out of the Atlantic Ocean, and leading to some showery activity, as well as some thunderstorm activity probably as well here, working on through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York State as well this afternoon. Now, also on the backside, you'll notice, again, we are getting some precipitation on the backside, kind of coming off of the Great Lakes here a little bit. You'll notice, again, this big area of showers and storms working from Indiana, kind of crossing the Ohio River Valley into Kentucky, into West Virginia, and likely we're even going to see some of these make it as far south as northern Tennessee and northwestern North Carolina this afternoon. And again, could be convective in nature, just meaning those clouds are going to be a little bubbly, maybe a little bit of lightning as well with some of these. Now, satellite imagery, again, just kind of more of the same here. Here's that big storm system just spinning away up into the northern part of the country, specifically the northeast. Again, just kind of bringing those plumes of moisture inland. That could bring a bit of a flooding risk this afternoon that we'll definitely have to watch out for. The other story is out west. Again, another storm system slowly working inbound, and this is what is going to be the start of our next severe weather threat. Again, kind of still out over the Pacific right now, but eventually, as it makes its way over the Four Corners, going to bring a big-time severe weather threat through the Great Plains going into next Monday and Tuesday, and maybe even later in the week as well, although we'll have to kind of iron out the details there as our models are still kind of a little bit all over the place. All right, I'm going to refresh this page for us, and we can go ahead and start talking about kind of what is to come in the Northeast today. So, again, as I mentioned, we are seeing some rain working on through. Again, heavy at times, especially up into Maine. Also, this kind of corridor of some showers and stormy activity stretching from New Jersey up through the Catskills and eventually up into the Adirondacks this afternoon. Again, this is probably about the time this video is getting posted here, is whenever you're going to see this general setup. Now, there's no storm risk from the Storm Prediction Center today, but do not be surprised. You're going to see some lightning and maybe even some gusty winds in here with some of these storm systems, maybe even some embedded areas of rotation. Now, I don't think necessarily we'll see a tornado out of it, but again, you never know. We could, be surprised. In fact, yesterday, like I mentioned, we only had a marginal risk in North Carolina, and if you look at the storm report map, that's clearly where we had most of those reports coming in for strong straight-line winds, as well as, again, a couple tornado reports that are being investigated by local National Weather Service offices this afternoon. All right, moving this further ahead into time, getting, again, about 4 o'clock Eastern time. Main threat here, again, is going to be watching this kind of line of storms working from New York State into New England by the time we get into this afternoon. And again, could be kind of pretty storms as well, much like I showed you in those pictures earlier, maybe not quite to the same extent. But again, we're starting to get into spring here, so expect this stormy activity to be more of the norm through the next couple of months. Now, what I want you to also notice is on the backside here. This is getting into this evening. Look at these other storms, again, firing off on the backside from Kentucky, Ohio, into West Virginia. And again, we had that enhanced risk up for Ohio yesterday, and I mentioned in my morning video, I said, well, the math isn't quite working here. The dots aren't quite connecting. And again, we had a really tame day for most of you in Ohio and Pennsylvania yesterday. Now, we did have one storm in particular that was quite strong in West Virginia. But again, most of that stormy activity stayed south into the Carolinas and Virginia. And that's where we had really all of our tornado warnings yesterday, again, outside of that one storm. That was kind of right in here into West Virginia. So, again, Storm Prediction Center isn't right all the time, and I'm not right all the time. That's just part of meteorology. But, again, yesterday was one of those days that, it's kind of good to just make sure you're getting information from local meteorologists as well as national meteorologists, because at the end of the day, people out in the middle of Oklahoma can only do so much for forecasting, hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away even. So always good to kind of segment it up a little bit and just make sure you're getting forecasts from multiple different professionals. Just like you oftentimes go to different doctors for different opinions, same story with the weather. So anyway, enough of that tangent, but back to the weather map for this evening. Again, as I mentioned, watching out some of these storms could be convective in nature, just meaning they're going to bubble up, could have some lightning. Wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of hail even. Likely some pretty cold air aloft, maybe some grapple with these in some of those higher elevations. And maybe some gusty winds as well. Again, no threat level from the Storm Prediction Center, but again, you never know if we maybe overdo some of that instability a little bit. Could make these storms a little bit more bubbly than originally thought. Now, getting into this evening, this is about the time the sun has gone down, clearing out a little bit in the northeast. Still some scattered showers likely working on through here, and also, again, some of these more bubbly showers and convective showers working on through the Appalachia chain, specifically from Tennessee and North Carolina up through the Virginias. Now, overnight tonight, these showers continue, and by the time we get into early tomorrow morning, I want you to kind of know what happens here a little bit. This low pressure now really dragging in that cold air on the backside, and we're going to change over some light rain to some light to moderate snowfall here along the Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, New York. That's not North Carolina. Pennsylvania, New York border here, though. Again, kind of near the Erie, PA area, and just kind of towards the western half of these states. And that could continue throughout much of the overnight and even into the early morning hour, waking up tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon. Again, still some scattered rain and snow showers into the interior northeast, and maybe even a couple scattered heavier downpours again, further into New England, closer towards the coastline. Excuse me. Again, tongue-tied here. But again, same general idea continues through tomorrow afternoon before finally into tomorrow evening we kind of dry this up a little bit. And then we'll have to watch out for Sunday. This is Sunday morning. A bit of a clipper-like system tries to work on in here. And we'll kind of slide on through the northeast, and that could bring some severe weather with it. And we'll discuss that just a little bit here later on in the video. Now, flooding threat, again, as I mentioned, is there today. We do have a slight risk of excessive rainfall right here into the heart of Maine and even into northern New Hampshire, where we already had some of those flood warnings and flood watches in effect. So again, just note that that is a concern this afternoon and evening. Snowfall, also again a maybe not concern, but something we'll watch for, and definitely could see some snow accumulate, especially in the grassy surfaces, maybe on a couple back roads as well here in kind of this circled area on your map. But overall speaking, maybe 2 inches of snow not out of the question. Some of these little higher elevations here into western New York State could maybe get 3 to 5 inches of snowfall. So if I do have any viewers in that area, definitely let me know if you get anything overnight tonight. But also, again, up here into the Adirondacks and to the higher elevations of New Hampshire and Vermont, those highest peaks could pick up a couple inches of snow as well before all is said and done, and then it likely melts pretty quickly after. All right, now how about the southeast? Well, again, I'm just briefly going to touch on this afternoon. Our latest model guidance does suggest that, again, some of these more convective showers in nature try to bubble up and definitely could kind of try to swing on through portions of the mountains, maybe even make it over the mountains into the foothills this afternoon. Not out of the question, you'll notice. Look at some of these kind of storms bubbling up here along the I-77 corridor, kind of the same places that saw that severe weather yesterday. Again, could be seeing some rain this afternoon during some of that cleanup process. And again, don't want you to completely let your guard down. We could see some gusty winds, maybe some small hail, maybe some grapple with these. Again, no severe weather threat from the Storm Prediction Center, but it doesn't take much this time of year, to add a little bit of instability with some of that wind shear we're seeing to cause some problems. So watch out for that. And again, those kind of swing on through the Carolinas and Virginia overnight tonight, even into kind of later into the overnight. This is about 11 p.m. midnight. Still some of those showers working on through West Virginia, North Carolina, before they eventually kind of fizzle out during the early morning hours of Saturday. And as I move this all the way through Saturday afternoon, really just a beautiful day. And it should stay pretty calm in this part of the country, really for at least the medium range. So that's kind of some good news. Now, wind-wise, that is a different story. It's going to be very windy this afternoon. Widespread wind gusts getting quite strong. Up here into Michigan, again, gusting around 40 to 50 miles an hour, not out of the question. Through the Appalachia chain, 40 to 50 miles an hour, also not out of the question. Even down south, upstate South Carolina, northern Georgia, very gusty winds getting up near 40 miles an hour. Same story, probably about 30 miles an hour through Raleigh, Virginia Beach, Roanoke, up into the D.C. metro, back down towards Columbia, South Carolina, Charlotte. Again, just some gusty winds. And same thing for much of the Ohio River Valley. So widespread 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts this afternoon, higher in some of those higher elevations and closer towards that low pressure up near Michigan. That continues into this evening, really picks up those wind gusts, even again getting maybe even closer towards 40 miles an hour as we get some of that diurnal heating. And overnight tonight, watch for that wind to really pick up, especially in the higher elevations, kind of calming down in some of the lower elevations. But look at this, West Virginia, 50, 55 miles an hour, maybe 60, 65 on those highest elevations. Same story down near the mountains of North Carolina and up into the Poconos and up here through much of, again, portions of kind of Lake Erie and surrounding areas. Just very gusty winds overnight tonight. Before getting into tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon. Still gusty, definitely, but calming down a little bit. But again, nonetheless, still windy enough we need to think about it, especially kind of in the mid-Atlantic and those higher elevations. Before I think we finally clear out a little bit, this is Sunday morning and then Sunday afternoon, much more manageable wind speeds. Now, what about out west? I am very quickly going to touch on this. We actually have a marginal risk of severe weather this afternoon. Same story for tomorrow afternoon, kind of into Oregon, Idaho, portions of Nevada today. And then just a smaller area right over kind of central Oregon tomorrow, kind of heart-shaped there, which is, I guess, interesting. But we'll briefly discuss that really quickly here as well. And to be honest with you, I loaded this map and then never actually looked at it because it needed to finish loading. So we're going to kind of analyze this together a little bit here. Again, this afternoon, though, pretty calm for most folks. As I mentioned, we do have that small threat of severe weather. Again, just a marginal risk, though. So watching out for that this evening. Again, notice some of these showers and storms popping up. Could have some hail, some damaging winds, maybe even a little bit of rotation embedded in there. Not impossible to get tornadoes in this part of the country, just a little more uncommon than in the east. More importantly, though, it's going into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Here comes that low pressure system just off the coast of California. Widespread rain showers are working ashore during the afternoon hours for, again, a lot of folks out here from the morning, again, through the afternoon. And as this storm gets a little bit further inland, watch this, some Sierra Nevada mountain snow, but also this is why we have that severe weather risk in Oregon. Again, notice some of these showers and storms popping up, trying to get a little strong in nature. It could definitely bring some gusty winds, some embedded rotation, not completely out of the question here for our Saturday afternoon. But for much of California, really just a rainy day, on and off showers. Again, could be heavy at times. Mountain snow, not out of the question here through Northern California, through the Sierra Nevadas, and through Nevada proper. And then again, this gets us out to Sunday morning. So again, just be aware of some of that severe weather threat out there. But other than that, really just rainy conditions through much of California with mountain snow. All right. Let's talk about this big time severe weather threat on the horizon. Now, I'm briefly going to talk about this Sunday. We do have a little bit of a clipper system here, which I'm going to mention Sunday afternoon here. Notice how we have kind of this very strong, let me draw that a little bit better here, but this very strong kind of wind pattern with these isobars at our 500 millibar level. Again, a little bit of a trough showing up here, so a little bit of a clipper kind of trying to work on through the northeast. And it's this piece of energy we're going to need to watch out for a little bit of severe weather on Sunday. And because of that, we do have a marginal risk already issued by the Storm Prediction Center from extreme eastern Indiana through all of Ohio pretty much, and into really much of Pennsylvania as well, and even kind of the northern tier of West Virginia there. So conditions here are not completely primed for severe weather, and this is, kind of an interesting setup because temperatures are going to be pretty cold here, but Sunday afternoon, nonetheless, again, notice a little bit of low pressure trying to form here at the surface, and that could try to pull up just enough moisture out of the south and kind of bring some instability with that wind shear that, again, maybe some severe storms try to develop here. And if I just kind of take a sounding here over Pennsylvania Sunday afternoon, this is really kind of a high shear, low instability setup. So again, we do have some Cape value showing up here, not a lot by any means, but more importantly is our hodograph. Again, a pretty high amount of wind shear showing up here for a lot of folks, but notice these temperatures down here, just not super unstable. So kind of a very conditional severe weather threat, much like we saw yesterday in Ohio. And again, we saw that didn't really pan out all that much. So maybe this will be different. Maybe this will be the same. We'll see. But nonetheless, Storm Prediction Center feels confident enough to go ahead and issue a marginal risk for severe weather for you folks up in that area. All right, let's discuss now the bigger severe weather threat that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about, and that, again, is going into early next week. As I mentioned, we've got this big area of low pressure, or this mid-level or even upper-level trough that's going to kind of swing on through, or really upper-level low, I should say, not even more trough as much as it is just a good old-fashioned low pressure. Now, this kind of swings on through California and Nevada, as I mentioned, bringing that rain, but watch what happens going into Monday afternoon. Again, this big upper-level low is going to kind of swing on through the four corners, and anytime we see that in April, that is definitely a recipe for trouble. Now, what's kind of going to happen here is, again, low pressure here. Notice how these isobars are kind of swinging around right here and then moving upwards into Texas. This is what we call the low-level jet. And the low-level jet here is really going to pull in a good amount of moisture and dry air kind of at the same time. Moisture from the Gulf and dry air from the desert Southwest. And what's going to happen here is these two parameters are going to overlap with each other. And because of that, we're going to see big-time instability concerns and thus severe weather threat concerns. Now, this is going overnight Monday into Tuesday. This low pressure is strengthening here, again, over kind of the heart of Tornado Alley, and continues to do so by the time we get into our Tuesday afternoon, now right over the heart of the country, and into our Wednesday afternoon, now trying to move up into... Oh, so I just slapped my thigh. I don't know why I did that. No, that was weird, but sorry. Anyway, though, again, kind of moving up into the Midwest here by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. So it could be a multi-day severe weather threat here, and Storm Prediction Center feels very confident in this, and probably rightly so here, starting Monday afternoon. Already the highest level threat we can have here from Oklahoma City through southern Kansas and into the Red River Valley, with even that threat area extending all the way up through Ohio and as far south as south central Texas. So again, severe storms going to be very easy to come by on Monday. Tuesday, same story. Again, from southern Wisconsin all the way down towards the Dallas-Fort Worth area, could see some strong to severe storms. And again, obviously, this does include the threat of tornadoes. I don't want to use the word tornado outbreak because we have plenty of time to kind of continue to forecast this, but the potential is there. Now, again, not saying it's going to happen. Obviously, sometimes we can't forecast severe weather the day of, let alone 4 or 5 days away. But just given climatology, it is that time of the year. The setup matches what you would expect those impacts to be. So, tornado outbreak parameters are definitely there. We'll just see if kind of it pans out that way. All right, latest model guidance from our European model. This is kind of the evening of Monday into Tuesday, and look at these storms firing up from Oklahoma to Texas all the way north into Iowa. Again, just kind of as we mentioned, definitely bringing that severe weather threat with it, and that continues even again into Tuesday afternoon. Once more, another area of severe weather showing up here with these storms from Iowa all the way back down towards Arkansas. So severe weather Monday, severe weather Tuesday, potentially severe weather Wednesday as well here into the Ohio River Valley, maybe even up into Michigan. Once again, could see some strong to severe storms before I think finally we hit Thursday afternoon. And that storm system kind of dies off and works up into Canada, and then another storm developing on the European model. But the GFS doesn't quite agree with this solution, shows a little bit of a different scenario. So we'll save that for another video. But again, just know multiple storms could be on the horizon here. All right, why are we confident in severe weather? Well, mixed layer cape parameters here, just meaning instability in the atmosphere showing up to be pretty strong. And this is in the ensembles, again, about 3 or 4 days away. So anytime you see values this high, this far away with a mean of members, definitely concerning enough here that, again, the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and pulled the gun on that potential for severe weather. For Monday afternoon, again, there's that instability map. Tuesday afternoon, once more, again, from Iowa down towards Texas, and then maybe even later in the week, again, towards Thursday, trying to keep some of that instability around. And again, that could lead towards, more rounds of severe weather, not out of the question. Wind shear values also, again, more than conducive enough here for severe weather. Monday evening into Tuesday, here's that low-level jet I talked about. Very strong winds here. Bulk shear values anywhere from 60 to 70 knots is more than enough to bring severe weather. And again, this is an ensemble mean, so very likely going to have areas that are actually stronger than this by the time we get closer. And you'll notice that wind shear slowly moves eastbound throughout the week. And again, then kind of a secondary area of low pressure brings some wind shear, at least on the European model. But again, we'll have to watch that once we get a little bit closer. All right, final map here. This is our GFS ensemble members showing the potential for severe weather ingredients. And again, Monday afternoon and evening, there it is, right over that severe weather threat area that we talked about. Into Tuesday afternoon, more of the same here. Again, over kind of Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, southern Wisconsin, all the way back down towards Texas. And then Wednesday afternoon, again, some of those ingredients showing up once again through potentially the Ohio River Valley here, just kind of lower, as again, it's a little bit further away. And we'll have to just kind of continue to forecast those ingredients. Alrighty, well, again, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got through yesterday all right, and hopefully you enjoy this weekend while it's a little bit nicer before, again, that next storm system starts knocking on the doorstep going into our Monday and our Tuesday. With that said, though, again, hope you have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll see you all tomorrow.